What's going on, YouTube family? Welcome to Automotive Life. My name is Lucky, and today I'm sitting down with a good buddy of mine, Houston. We're going to share some information and some ideas about how the automotive market is going, because we both have similar ideas on where this market's going, the stupidity that's currently in the market, and we have some fun stuff to talk about. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Lucky, you got a car dealership, and I kind of sell cars. I mean, I don't sell cars as a profession. I sell cars more of as a hobby. I have a lot of cars because of the rental car industry, and I have kind of pretty decent experience. I mean, I consider myself what would be equal to any car dealer in the city based on what I do on a daily basis, right?
I think you're being too nice. That's the reason why I wanted to sit down with you is just the fact that this is your business and you're offsetting your risk by selling your cars. You have more experience than I'd say about 90% of the dealers and wholesalers I deal with. I mean, the stuff they pay is just ridiculous.
Funny.
And the lack of education is even mind-blowing. But
I own my cars, unlike any other dealer.
Yeah, I was about to say, there you go.
So I was thinking, right, as we kind of impromptu had this podcast, I was like, why don't we talk about all the just absolutely mental things that have happened over the past year and a half with car purchase prices, with the idea of people that were once making $50,000, $60,000 a year, now owning vehicles that cost $100,000. It's not a small metric. This is a really large number. And that's why I kind of wanted to talk to you, because I watch your videos, right? Because there's not a lot of people in our generation or our marketplace that talk about the reality of what's happening behind closed doors. So give me just a little 100%. Bit of like your opinion right now based on, I mean, we could talk about specifics like the G-Wagon or, some ridiculous things like the Urus, how they're going for 100% to even 150% over sticker, right? Which is absolutely mental. But let me know what you think is like kind of like the current status and how we got here.
Well, you actually hit a nail on the head is, we're not even going to pick anything exotic or anything unique or something we know that the MSRP is ridiculous. We're just going to talk about regular people buying cars. Let's just say a Dodge Charger. Okay. Everybody knows that's like decent
standard car,
$30,000, $40,000, right? During the pandemic, we saw all these stimulus ballers, that were making $4,000 a month. They weren't paying their rent. Two, household was making $8,000. They put $10,000, $15,000 down on an overpriced, now $60,000 Dodge Charger. Average payment, I think, on the newer models was around $1,000 a month
for a Dodge Charger.
Dude,
the metric for the average car payment in the United States is over $720. That's real.
Yeah, and it blows.
So that means
mind.
It's like a Corolla is $700 a month, right?
Yeah.
Because if it's average, the average car would be like a $30,000 Toyota Corolla. Yeah. Correct. So they're paying $10,000 over sticker for a Corolla at $700 a month. I don't see this ending well, dude.
No, I mean, and so all these people during the stimulus time were like buying these cars, right? And we're like, they have the money, they're liquid, whatever else. But now fast forward, you seeing like, just like I'm saying, it's slowing down. My business is slowing down. I'm watching Vegas slow down, which, we're a busy city. That's why we're here, is because we have work all the time. And I'm watching these people that used to make $4,000 and now making $2,500 a month. And now they're being even laid off. Rent's doubled. Gas has doubled, their insurance, their food. So now technically they probably thought they could afford that $1,000 payment. They can't even afford it now. So within 1 year, the market changed.
Let's just put it in perspective, right?
Yeah.
You have $8,000 family income. That's not taxed, right? I mean, you can elect to have it taxed, right? But that's not necessarily what anybody did. No. When they were getting that unemployment, I guarantee you they were passing the tax. So everybody was getting $1,000 a week and they were paying with no bills. So a BMW payment seemed easy because they didn't have rent, right? Yeah. And it went on for a really long time. The rent stopped for a long time. And actually, I think right now, I'm pretty sure it was California who passed a bill saying that they have to pay you 1 month's rent to evict you now.
Yeah, I saw that too. Blew my mind.
So you went rent-free for 14 months. Now you get probably a $1,500, whatever the average rent is, an $1,800 check to leave.
Yeah, and then they got to take, I heard that it was like almost a month and a half to 2 month process to start the eviction. So then they get another 2 months of free rent where they're not paying. And now this stuff, it's like, I can't believe it. And then I hear these people like, oh, well, the economy's good, the economy's strong. And I don't know who they're talking to. I mean, you're a business owner. I was paying rent the whole time. I'm sure you were. Your landlord, he
Honestly,
doesn't accept, I have COVID.
I'm going to have that conversation with them eventually.
Yeah. And so it's like my landlord, the first thing he did, he called, hey, you have to pay commercial rent. You don't have moratorium on regular rent. And I'm like, no, I know I don't have to pay my apartment. I still am, but I'm also going to pay on my commercial real estate. And it blew my mind. And then now that we're facing this like shortage where like every day I'm going out buying repos, I'm watching these, like we picked up that Aston Martin that was out front there. I picked it up from a small bank in California. I won't mention the name, but they had 4 of their exotic cars there that we picked up. And one thing they had in common was not only did they have an exotic car loan with this company, they also had a PPP loan with this bank. So as soon as they got the PPP money, magically, within 60 days, they're putting $100K, $150K down on some of these exotic cars. And now that the PPP money's gone, all of a sudden these exotic Highline cars start popping up. And I think for me, that's what I feel like what drove our market nuts. Like $100,000 over MSRP for a G-Wagon, like the Huracans, you buy them for $2.25. Now, what are they selling for $3.25? You don't even have to do anything. And it just blows my mind. You could probably talk more about that because what is because I remember, can we talk about the STO? I remember you bought it.
Sure.
You wrecked it, or not you wrecked, excuse me, a customer wrecked it. You got paid. Mm-hmm. They crashed it again.
Yep.
You got paid again. And then didn't you sell it again and make some extra money on top of that?
The STO was really stupid. The car was $390,000. And when it got wrecked, it was totaled. The market value of the car was around $5.25, which wasn't that much higher at the time because I had a very, very, very early STO.
Yeah.
So when new cars like STOs or SVJs or really crazy cars come out, the first handful of cars don't go over sticker to like the crazy extent as the middle tier does. Right? Because not a lot of people know where the market's going to be.
Yeah.
Right. So before they were 200 over sticker, they were about 100 over sticker. I wasn't able. 4 or 5 months went by. Car sat and sat and sat, and Liberty Mutual totaled the car, and I got paid. I then bought the car back from the insurance, which I typically do 99% of the time. Yeah. Very rarely do I ever not buy them back because I have the ability to fix them, or if they're really bad, I use them for spare parts.
Yeah.
A motor could be worth, $20,000 on eBay, but to me, it could be 3 months of rental for me not waiting to have that extra motor if one blows or something like that.
Yeah.
So that could save me $90,000, right? Just by having it in stock. So I buy the STO back and I'm like, you know what? It's carbon. I'll fiberglass it back together. I'll fix it. No big deal. And I'll use it as a display car, right? We get it from the body shop, and a woman obviously wasn't thinking clearly, drove and took the front of the car off again.
Yeah, because I remember that. Wasn't that like the day you got it back?
No, it was the minute we left the body shop. It wasn't the day. It was leaving the body shop. At the exit of the body shop, it happened, and she didn't have insurance. So I actually did not get paid again. The car was damaged, but the value of the car was literally at that point $200 sticker. So I was able to sell a damaged salvage title STO for sticker. So pretty wild. I definitely did not want that to go down that way because I don't want the market to be like this. Like right now, my competitors in the exotic car industry are pricing their cars so low because Vegas has slowed down by 70%, 60% of high-end travelers. They're literally renting Huracans, down the street for $500-600 a day, right? And they think they have no recourse for that. Right now, they're going to find out real quick that they do have recourse because the cars are depreciating. So when a Huracan was $325, it's now $250 in an hour. It just takes one car to go through auction in an hour and it's gone. I had a Aston Martin DBX last week that had a issue with the front hood. I replaced the hood, did some paint work on it. It was the MMR and it was $170. Dealer offered me $165. 3 hours later, he's like, nope, can't pay that anymore. One just went through auction for this. I ended up selling it for $140 in a day. It dropped $25,000 in a day.
Yeah.
And so not a lot of people understand that. And dealers have a really hard time. They floor cars. On your channel, you talk about car flooring and financing and stuff like that. I don't floor the cars, and I have a way to make income back. So let's say I did buy a car for too much. I could rent it down. right?
Yeah,
I wouldn't make any profit, but I could throw it in the rental fleet for 3 months, make maybe $30,000 and basically buy the purchase price of that car down so I don't lose physical money. Dealerships don't have that opportunity. No, they've got a car sitting there.
Yeah, then you hit it right on the head. They don't have any money. Every dealer I know,
it's all floored.
Yeah, it's all credit. They don't have any money to their name. They're all buying these crazy cars, and to them, it's another $100 at the auction. So if they're competing with somebody like a buyer like myself, or even somebody like you, you're using cash. Cash buyers are more discerning. We look at the numbers. We pay more attention to that. These guys, just another $1,000 on my flooring line. Let's just keep bidding it up. And now I'm watching that all these dealers have all this overpriced inventory.
Oh my God.
I feel bad. If you're watching this and you're a dealer, if you have any overpriced inventory, 30 to 60 days, sell everything you can. You can always go back to the auction, replace it. You need to ride that depreciation wave down, because now that the repos are coming in, and then we also have all these dealers that have all these lines of credit that can't pay. They can't sell anything. I won't mention names here, but I see a lot of dealers here in Vegas with really high-end inventory, and it's been there like 3-4 months now. They did the whole, well, I can't replace it. You know, you have to pay sticker. Not anymore. Those days are gone. And so
the thing is, people don't get why the market went up. The market went up because everybody had free money, right?
Yeah.
You put $6 trillion into the market and they're going to spend it. Well, it's spent. And the people that had $6 trillion don't have it anymore. They've got a G-Wagon that they paid $300,000 for that has a sticker of 164. They've got a Rolls-Royce Cullinan that they paid $550,000 for with a sticker of 365. They have all this overpriced stuff, and maybe they haven't paid off in cash. That's really cool. That actually devalues the market more, right? Because a lot of people are willing to take, if they bought it for 500, they're willing to take 400 back because it's 400 in their pocket that they can then put back in for bills or whatever, versus guys that have huge loans that have to take at the minimum their payoff. So the payoff situation causes a lot of confusion, because like there's an Aventador that I'm trying to buy right now with a blown motor. Okay. I happen to have an Aventador S motor just sitting back there waiting for a right opportunity. Yeah. Right. I bought it because I built a twin turbo car, and I was like, let me just get a spare motor just in case. And it's just sitting back there on a pallet. And so this blown motor Aventador comes up. You know, it's been tuned by a performance shop in California that, wanted to spit a lot of fire, right? People don't really understand what that does to an engine. Anyways, boom, 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 blows a rod, needs a motor. Now, an Aventador motor at the dealer is like $200,000. Okay. So this guy's got this 18 Aventador S with 6,000 miles. His payoff is $280. I offer him $220. So if the car is really worth $250 probably, he can't sell it for us. I mean, whether or not he has the money or not in his checking account to pay the difference and sell it, he's more in mind saying, I'm just going to sit on it, make the payment until the market goes up.
Yeah.
This isn't real estate, dude. Yeah. I told him, I was like, what do you think's going to happen? That car, that car prior to the pandemic was worth like 200 off sticker. Like your sticker is 587. The car was worth 387 before you bought it, and you paid 550 for the car because you're a dipshit. Yeah. Right? It doesn't make you right. It makes you stupid. Now the car is worth. I told him, I'll give you 280 for the car. I'll pay your loan off, break you even, because I've got this motor sitting here. I can put a motor in it, and I could turn it around and sell it for maybe 445, 450 right now, because the Aventador market's come down to about 100K wholesale. Right. There were 650. Now they're like 550, but no dealers are willing to pay 550 because they see the trend. Yeah. So now as a dealer, they're going to want to hit it under MMR, way under MMR, because they see MMR data is 30 days behind. Yeah. So it's not there yet. And it's like a falling rock, just like crypto, right? If the market shows the Bitcoin is 22,000, but it just was 28,000, chances are it's going to be 18,000 real quick. Yeah. So don't go and buy it for 22 when it's going to turn into 18.
No, and that's something that I'm seeing a lot of these dealers doing. Is we talked about like the subprime market on my channel, where just regular people, cheap, affordable cars. That's part of the issue that like is going down as far as value. But one of the first things indicators we see is the exotic car market. That market takes a big hit. We're talking 10, 15% sometimes a month. And what I've seen, like I had the similar issue with you. I ran that Aston to gimmethevin.com. They were going to give me $150K for that car. So I was cleaning up, getting ready. I was waiting for the title to come in, and finally it came in. I went back there to redo the price. It dropped to $131,000. So I lost almost $20,000 from 2 weeks. Now people are laughing like, well, that's a lot of money. I don't see that's not normal. You got to remember, if you lose 10% on a Toyota Corolla, it's a couple $100. when you talk 10% on like a $500,000 car,
$50,000.
Yeah, you're talking big chunks of money, and that's what we're
literally
getting at.
just happened to me. I just cleaned out like 8 cars, okay, because I saw this trend happening, and I just bought a brand new Rolls Royce Phantom, brand new, 2022, spec'd it myself, and I was like, dude, like, I am going to take a big bath on this car.
Is that the Cullinan?
No, the Cullinan I just sold also, because same thing. The Cullinan, my pink interior Cullinan was worth $100 over sticker. And, you know, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I can keep this car 6 months. My wife's going to love it. Everything. It's superficial. Oh, super nice. But at the end of the day, like, it's still going to be worth less. And I told my wife, I said, you know, if you want, we can sell this car right now. And I bet you I can get $40,000 over sticker for it. And it was a high sticker, you know, it was a $400 and something, $38,000 sticker, which is high for Cullinan. She agreed. She's like, I don't care if I have this car. Like, it doesn't matter to me. She's so like, my wife is so opposite of me. I'm like super pretentious, and she's just like,
she's the balance that gives you levelness.
Exactly. So we sold that one. And then my Phantom was actually supposed to arrive in 5 months after the Cullinan.
Yeah.
Came 2 weeks later. Wow. And I was like, I wonder if Rolls Royce saw this coming too. Like, were they rushed production?
People canceling allocations.
Or maybe they had a lot of cancellations in other countries.
Yeah. Because
the markets are different everywhere. But as a manufacturer, you know, they share to the whole world. Yeah. So car showed up super early, and I just knew it. I just knew for a fact I had to sell that car the second I got it.
You know that feeling you get, like you're watching the market and you see it trending down, and you're like, okay, let me hedge myself. Let me get rid of some of these cars, and I'll just wait and maybe buy some like a little bit later. I don't know why more people are not doing this. Like, we can talk about this, and that's another reason why I wanted to bring you on here, is because this is something, just the way I guess car guys think, real car guys, not these broker jokers, everyone out there trying to flip exotic cars. And it's like, so we're watching this trend. And even today, like at the auction, I was watching guys over here at Manheim, you know, bid $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 over MMR on a, like, not even like a really nice McLaren, like a high mileage, like 20,000 mile McLaren. And you know, I hate McLarens. I think you hate them just as much as I do. I mean, they're beautiful cars for the first 2,000 miles. Like, well, I heard of something. You said you only keep your cars McLarens?
5,000 miles. That's the max. From 0 to 5,000, I won't take a car over 5,000 miles.
Yeah, like I've been on so many rallies where it's like we start with like 5 McLaren,
and you end up with 0.
Yeah, exactly.
You end up with none of them.
Everybody that has either classic cars, whatever else, makes it to the end of the rally. And then it's like, where's all the, you know, the 720s and the 570s and the 6s, you know, they're all gone.
They're all gone.
Yeah. And it's
they
like,
never make it.
Yeah. I can't believe with that much money and spending, but like I'm watching these people pay for it. And then another thing that's kind of making me mad, which I'd like to talk to you about, is these clowns that everybody jumped into the rental car game. I've been making fun of these guys a lot on my channel. And now that I'm here with you, you're the only other person I know. I think it's you, me, and then probably Rob over there on the East Coast that actually rented out cars with a real license and real insurance. Where the rest of these guys, I don't even know. I'm still shocked that these guys are not shut down, because I remember telling you off camera, like when I got my dealer's license, I put rentals on my sign. Like the next week, the DMV was knocking on my door. Where's your rental license? And I'm like, oh, was it under a different LLC's name? Here's my license. Here's my insurance. Here's my bond. They let me go. But then if you're not a licensed company here in Vegas, like, you know, people don't understand, like the reason why I want to, I'll let Houston go off on these guys, but I want to go off on first. When I'm trying to rent out a car, and, you know, even like I did regular cars, you did nice cars. Mm-hmm. I was doing Nissan Altimas, and I was renting them out for like $50, $60 a day. That's what it costs for my insurance, my bond, you know, to pay down depreciation, mileage. And I had these guys on like Turo or just renting them off the streets for $40, $30 a day. And it just killed the market. And then I tried to do a few high-end cars.
Not even a chance.
Oh, no. I mean,
the thing is with rentals, like most people try to rent their car to make their car payment. That's not the right way to do it.
Yeah.
But honestly, you can keep this rental business. I built a big brand, big social status, and a big kind of an enticing, like looking business to copy. But the rental car industry is inconsistent. And that's why I've transitioned into food, because I want consistency and I want those customers to come back, and I want to be able to control the situation a lot better, right? For me, in order for you to rent my car, you first have to A, travel to Las Vegas, B, have more than usually 1 day or 2 days of leisure time, then C, have the $2,000 to rent the car, and then have the proper insurance in order to drive the car. And then the important thing is the maturity level to operate the car in a safe manner. And so there's a lot of factors that go into my business that are just kind of over it. I mean, actually this week I'm selling all my auto cycles. I didn't want to have that customer anymore. Plus, like I said on Turo, I rent slingshots and Vanderhalls and stuff because I pay them, right? I pay $40,000 or $50,000 for Vanderhall. And I know what it takes to operate those, so they're about $350 a day to $380 a day, depending on what it is. And I mean, it could be higher based on the weekends for the sports games and stuff. But you go on Turo, you can rent a slingshot for like $60 now.
Yeah, it's like a race to the bottom on Turo.
It's a race to the bottom.
Turo was good because it gave people the opportunity to jump in, but then it gave everybody false pretenses. So now they're no longer renting on Turo. These guys are getting like storefront offices like ours and trying to rent them out to the general public. And one thing that I think that'll be really good is like we talked about how like the insurance, the correct paperwork, checking people's ID, checking their insurance, verifying it. There's so many cars out here not insured. They're under somebody else's name. They're like, they borrowed, like, give me your car, Houston, I'm going to rent it out to my buddy and I'm going to give you a piece. I'm going to keep a VIG. Like, I feel like that's 90% of the rental.
It is. No, it really is. And that's the worst part.
I think it's funny how when we talk about the rental business, everybody wants to do it. And I used to sell a lot of classes on my channel and I stopped doing it because the rental business is good, but it's not what it's cracked up to be. And it's funny because everybody I talk to that owns a rental car business, we all say the same thing. When people ask, is it lucrative? Is it good to get into? I was like, no, it's a freaking headache. It's a nightmare.
My YouTube channel doesn't make that much money and it pays more net profit than my rental car business.
Yeah. Like I made a joke when I told people that when they're like, well, how did you make your money? I was like, off a loss of use. They're like, what do you mean? What's that? And I was like, when they crash my car, the insurance company pays me for all the days they're out. So it's pretty bad when I'm talking like to people like yourself that are in the industry and we're saying like, this is how we actually make our money. Like from when they crash our cars in total amount and they don't believe us.
Look, the car industry sucks, man. If you want to be in the car industry, you need to do it as a hobby. So I'm not going to close royalty because I spent a lot of time and it's kind of like my baby, but I'm not going to expand royalty. I mean, I was considering to split my fleet. I'm going to go to Hawaii tomorrow and get like a little location there, split my fleet. Cause I don't really want to like close up shop because I have a lot of employees here that rely on this and they're good. So I'm going to help bring up the revenue a little bit, but in Las Vegas, definitely the rental business in a major city like Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Miami, maybe Dallas, Honolulu or something like that. They're the only really areas you can even do this. Yeah. You can see, everybody calls me all the time. There's no rental car company in Kansas City, Missouri. We should put a Huracan here. And it's like, dude, like, I love that you want to do that and I love the passion. But like out of the 15 to 1,800 people that rent from me per month, 2 or 3 of them live in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
That's it. So I don't see how any locals anywhere are going to do that. They do this on vacation, right? Los Angeles, same thing. There, they do it for movies, they do it for production, they do it for a lot of different things. And if you have a really good in that industry, it's super cool. Yeah. Like I used to do a lot of production work, but then they took it in-house. They were renting cars so many times, they just bought them. Yeah. Studio has the money now, just buy a Lambo and let it sit there.
Yeah, we used to build props for the movie houses. And then I realized like after I built it, they put it in their prop warehouse and they don't need us anymore. Yeah. So, okay, I got you this one time. Now we're going to burn it up on 6 other films. But same thing, they had shells of Lambos, shells of Ferraris, but like you said, I get these calls that people like, oh, I want to open one up in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm like, don't do it. I want to open one up in Tennessee. I keep telling people, don't do it. Like Vegas has the volume. I think like the big cities you talked about, they have that type of market. But when I see people like, well, there's nobody else here. I was like, there's a reason why. It's like, you're not rocket scientists. We're not creating something new. It's just the market is just not there.
The rental car business is so cash intensive. If you have enough money to start this business, I can give you, like I just started a fund for my chicken business, right? And a lot of people, like I've got 1,000+ franchise applications and not everybody has enough money to open a franchise. It takes plus or minus $600,000 to open one store, that's with your fees and all your opening stuff. It's a lot of money, right? But a lot of people have like $200,000. And so I made this like fund where you can buy 5% of a corporate store for $100,000, right? That 5% of a corporate store for $100,000 is more guaranteed. It is safer. Now you can buy up to 25%, right? So if you have $500,000, you can buy 25%. And that would pay you based on my current projections, like $15,000 a month, right? Net. That just means sending you a check, right? For you to make $15,000 a month net from cars, you would need probably 4 Huracans. Yeah. In Vegas, right? Because you got to consider that there's a building, there's rent, there's employees, there's insurance. I mean, my insurance is about $2,500 a month per car right now. It was about 3,200, but I got them to come down a little bit, you know, because I paid so many payments and whatever. And it's just like, once you add all that in and you have really high volume, you have to advertise on Google, spend $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a month on Google ads. My dream is to actually just turn all of that off, have an organic website with 10 Lambos, 10 Huracans, right? Or maybe a couple Ferraris and a couple of maybe Porsches, right?
Yeah.
Very small, diverse fleet, and do no advertising. Just wait for the phone to ring.
Yeah, more of a boutique setup.
That's it. I swear to you, that's how. No, out of the same building I'm in right now.
Okay.
Right. A hotel would be better, but you can't really wash the cars in a hotel. That's a big problem, and not a lot of people see.
Yeah.
Is in order to do the volumes that I'm talking about, you have to have a car wash, you have to have a service center, you have to have a tire machine, or you're just renting subpar product.
Yeah, or $100,000 SVJ motor just lying in the back on a pallet. I'm glad we're talking about this because, like, in my channel, I tell people all the time, and they don't believe me. Like when your insurance, like you hit it right there, $2,500.
It's per car.
Yeah, per car.
After you have to have 25 cars to even get that policy, right? It's like so ass backwards of what you think reality would be to be in this business.
Yeah, I'd like to talk like a little bit about that because I think that's probably one of the most interesting things that people don't understand. Like, part of my channel, I tell people, like, if you start a rental car company, like you said, you have to have 10, 15, 20 cars just to start your policy. And then on top of that, most of these people, their cars in their name has to be in your LLC's name or some sort of corporation, can't be in your personal name. And then on top of that, you're going to have a starting cost of, I think when I started mine, it was like 20 grand, but I was able to piggyback off my dealer's license insurance. But I remember my rent for a Nissan Altima went from $100 to $350 a month, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but compared to what you're doing, like $2,500 a month, your first 2 days of a rental is pretty much overhead and insurance, not even including cost of the car or maintenance or depreciation.
Yeah, but I mean, that's even a really good point. You're talking about 2 days of a rental, okay? I'm renting the car for basically $1,850 a day or $1,900 a day. It's on 2 days of profit. You're maybe making 12, 13% net profit in every rental when you factor depreciation and maintenance, right? Tires and all that stuff. So you need to rent the car just like 10, 12 times just to break even on what it costs to own the car, right? And then if you rent the car more, your expenses go up, right? It's not like you're renting a car and 10 times breaks you even, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 is profit, cash.
Yeah.
It's not because the variable expenses go up with it. So it scales, right? Taxes scale, insurance scales, employees scale. Car wash is crazy, dude. I spend $30,000 a month in fixed costs just to have a car wash.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put a clip in this so you guys can see. He has the most epic detail bay. The lights, the epoxy floors, like
it's not even done, dude. I literally half-assed it too. It's crazy because my vision of that place and what I really truly needed to do was another 50 grand. And I was like, oh my God, I'm spending so much money on this business. Yeah. And like I opened it up to the public so they can come wash cars so I can kind of recoup some of that investment. Yeah. But I spent $500,000 on that car wash.
Wow.
So do you know how many cars I have to wash in order for it to make money? Like a bajillion.
6,000, yeah.
Like a bajillion.
6,000, but it's like somebody like yourself that has a high-end facility, you know, that's got to spend that extra money to have that over-the-top detail bay. I think these are some of the things that make you guys so much further apart than the competition, because when you said I have my competition in town, I only know one other person that actually has a license, which is still kind of half-half. But everybody else, they're not even close. They're like four dudes like renting out a Lambo together.
There's really nobody in town that competes with me. You can rent a Huracan somewhere else. It's not really a competitor. They don't have the same kind of cars. They don't have the same stuff. I mean, look, even if they got better cars than me, right? It's a different experience. You know, the person that you're referring to has a 400 square foot office in a parking lot. We're not talking about the same thing. You know, you're talking about going to Del Taco and I'm talking about going to Javier's.
Yeah.
You know, they both sell tacos. They're just different quality. Yeah. It's a different experience. It's a different customer service. It's a different, also, not a lot of people understand this, but you get what you pay for, right? Let me just give you a little story. I have a Huracan that gets rented. They go out to Valley of Fire. They pick up a rock, get a flat tire. What happens?
Well, usually we send a tow truck, pick them up, but I think you have a tire truck, don't you?
So yeah, I mean, in a normal rental car company, they'd be like, hey, here's a tow truck's number, get it back to us. Your clock's still ticking.
Yeah.
Right. Because they're not prepared to do anything. Right. I take it a step further and I include with my rentals the ability for me to go out there. I have hundreds and hundreds of spare wheels and tires in my warehouse. I throw one in the van. I get out there. I change it for them. You know, the time it takes me to get there, 30, 40 minutes, 10 minutes to fix the car, you know, and then my guy comes back. I add that extra 30, 40 minutes to their time, say, sorry, guys. Now, if they cause the issue, I might charge them for a tire, right? They were doing donuts or some stupid stuff. I'll charge them for a tire, but I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make sure that they're getting back on the road within a reasonable time. Now, I have that ability, right? The other shop guys, the other guys in town that have Lambos, they just have to send that car to Discount Tire. You know, they have to wait for a tire to come in. They don't stock the tires. Half the time, the guys call me for tires anyways, you know? And it's like, it's a really stupid process because that happens all the time, right? Little tiny things, flat tires, or bent rims, or any of those little things, I can put the car right back on the road in 10 seconds, you know? But those guys can't. And so when you rent there, you take that risk in any hazard or any maintenance too. I mean, you know, you get an engine light or you get a TPMS light. People that pay $2,000 don't know what that means. And when they see that on a Lambo, they're like, oh my God, I'm broke.
What I do. Yeah,
I'm broke. You know, that's the first thing that they think of. So look, at the end of the day, don't rent cars. Please, if anybody calls me and asks me how to do it, I tell them not to.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
If you offer me $50,000 to set up a rental car company for you, I would say, sorry, I'm not interested. Yeah. Literally, I don't care. There's no amount of money that is going to let me help you fail.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't care how smart you are, how much money you have. This industry is not able to support itself anymore. The cars cost too much. The insurance is out of whack, and there's not enough customers that will give you the inflated prices of rental rates that you need to survive. I didn't raise my prices for inflation, but everybody else did. Tires are $900 when they used to be $350.
Yeah.
Right? Like fuel cost and oil cost and service cost, employee cost, all of it went up. But do you see my prices at $3,000 a day? Because that's what they should be.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah, see, this is the fact that like people watching this, understanding like all the expenses that we talk about, like he just broke down all of them. So remember this, when you guys come over here to Vegas and you're like, bro, hook me up, give me a rental for $500. Because most likely we're going to tell you to go pound sand. That was one of the biggest things I sold my dealership and got out of the car business, just want to do wholesaling, was just how often do people, like, I don't mind my friends asking me for like free service or a hookup, but it's everybody. Like if they watch your YouTube channel, because I think it's different for you because I didn't do YouTube. I did Facebook ads. And so I had people come in, like ask me for free stuff, but I couldn't imagine what you guys deal with. Like how often do you get people like coming in, especially, I won't mention YouTubers names directly, but like YouTubers themselves, do they come in bug you guys a lot for free shit?
I haven't had a single YouTuber ever offer to pay me actually.
Really?
Really. I mean, it's just so dumb. I honestly, like, we could talk about this business so that I can't think anymore. I'm never going to give anybody answer they think they're going to hear.
Yeah.
Right. The amount of people that are in this industry now that think they're going to make money. I mean, there's guys that sell courses on how to do this. They try to come up with every which way it is to make you think you're going to do a profit, but you're not. Right. So it's funny because when those guys online, like the top rated guy online selling courses or whatever, I shouldn't even say this, but like it's all fake, man. Like I don't know why people believe it. You know?
Oh, it's not like I've got sent courses, and I'm like, this guy's talking about like getting leases in other people's names, renting it out with like a contract or your attorney wrote up. I'm like, none of this shit's legal.
It's all fake. Yeah. It's not real. Like you can't do any of that stuff. It's not renting a house. You know, the world was set up. Real estate and Airbnb is set up because it's a logical thing to buy a home and rent it to somebody, right? That's a basic necessity for someone to stay in a bed and not sleep on the streets, right? But it's not a basic necessity to drive a luxury car. So like logically, people aren't designed to loan their cars to other people and let them have fun in them, right? But like when it comes to a home or Airbnb, if you want to buy a $300,000 or $400,000 asset and rent it on Airbnb, it's a challenging business. You could maybe make a few $1,000s net a month. And maybe if you have like $1 million house or something like that, you can make a little bit more. But you're going to have the same challenges that I have renting a car with people that are abusing it. They're having too much fun in the car. They do the same thing in the house, right? They leverage a very expensive house and have 10 people sleep in it. Obviously, that causes extra wear and tear. It's a lot of hassle. People make big messes. But ultimately, right, the laws are there to protect the homeowner, right? In this case, the laws are not there to protect the car rental company.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
If I say, Lucky, here's my car, go have fun, 4 hours, and you decide to come back in 7 days, that's a civil matter.
Yeah.
That's not a stolen car matter or nothing like that. That's why I can shut my car. I have the ability to do everything with my cars.
Yeah, I was about to say,
there's no end in sight. I mean, I actually went through this. You know, I had a person rent a car, and then they decided to steal it. Right? They just took off to California, and this is the first time it had happened. I called the police. I'm like, hey, some guy stole my car. Go get it. They're like, well, you have a rental contract, and I said, yeah, I did for 4 hours. It's been a day.
Yeah. Oh, it's embezzlement. It's a civil matter.
Exactly. And so 10 days. They have to be gone for a minimum of 10 days for it to be considered a stolen car. Even though I can tell them where they are, they will not intervene. And so that's Nevada. Now, it could be different in other states, but why would you want to be in a business where you have no control?
No, yeah. I mean, like I tell the horror stories all the time. Same thing. People taking my cars, leaving them in the desert, losing them on the strip. Like I GPSed every single car I had because I had so many people that like, I don't know what casino I was at. I was drunk. Go find it. And they would just like mail me or FedEx me the key or drop it off in my Dropbox. So now it's like I literally paid my guys more money.
GPSing them is a very simple thing. Yeah. I mean, now my systems are so sophisticated that I can talk to you through my GPSs.
Yeah, that was the next one I was going to get. We had G-force trackers. So every time they were doing donuts, going through different things, I had all the racetrack geofenced. I had the all the tow yards. I mean, stuff like this that you guys don't really get to hear, which is kind of neat. You know, shoot out with you. It's just the fact that we have to do this to protect it. And I was doing this on Nissan Altimas. You're doing this on $300,000 cars. Yeah. And these systems, I remember the one I had was like $400 or $500 with the starter disabler, the tracking and everything else.
I do multiple systems on the cars now. The biggest defense I have is just choosing who I rent to. At this point right now, I don't care who you are, walk through my door, I'll tell you if you're going to be good or bad. Yeah. Right? I can just feel it. I have the energy, right? And so that's one of the reasons why I definitely think you should never get in the car rental business, because it might seem easy on the surface. Oh, well, they're going to come in, they're going to pick up this Nissan GTR, give it to them for $500, see you later. You know, boss says to the employee. Yeah. Employee gets the car, checks the insurance, doesn't know what he's looking at, right? Yeah. Assumes it's good. Guy gives him $500, takes the GTR, ends up in another state. It gets impounded. Now, how are you going to get it out? 30 days later, you've spent $2,000, $3,000 in impound fees. You've lost all your rental. You finally get it out, and it's got damaged wheels. It's got a cracked windshield, $3,000, $4,000 more in damage. Before you know it, you lost 10, 15 grand in one car rental because you weren't there to oversee it, all for some stupid little piece of paper that you didn't read right? Yeah. Standard, non-stop, happens all the time. Yeah. Right. And so at the end of the day, like when you own these assets, like when I have these cars, are my cars, I don't drive those cars home. I don't give a flying about what those cars do. They are tools for me to make money, right? I don't care if it's an SVJ, if it's an STO, if it's an F8, doesn't matter. Occasionally, when we get a brand new car like the SF90, I'll take it home once. I know, I didn't even get to drive that one. I remember you had it for like a month and then you're like, yeah, I sold it. It was too fast. I didn't want to risk someone dying. I've got I have no injury accidents in over 55 thousand rentals, right? Yeah. 0 injury accidents. And that one was where I was like, you know what? This is dangerous. It made my turbo Huracan feel slow. It was wicked. You know, I wish I would have drove it. Yeah. I mean, I took it around the block. I actually just drove up and down the street. I didn't even go home in that car. I went down Dean Martin, back to Dean Martin, down Dean Martin, back to Dean Martin, gave every one of my employees a ride, made 2 of them throw up. I got a headache myself, parked the car, never touched it again. You know, wow. And it got rented, multiple times, but I felt like when it got rented, it was a lot of speed alerts on that car, a lot of issues, a lot of potential things. And so I sold it. Right. But that being said, a lot of people rent cars because they think they can just drive one for free, right? Like, oh, Gallardo's now renting tonight, let me just take it out for dinner, right? That's like a drug dealer using his own cocaine, that it doesn't work like that, right? You cannot ever touch those cars. You cannot ever involve yourself in driving them as your own, because then you're faking your lifestyle mentally, and it's going to ruin your brain. People think that they're rich when they're driving these cars, and they're not theirs. The rental car company's paying for them. I can write a check for every single car out there 5 times over. And at the end of the day, like when you take that knowledge and you apply it to this industry, it makes you smart. right? But if I have to go out there and finance a leased Huracan and I'm making $3,500 payment or something like that, and I want to use it on Saturday night, I should not be in this business.
100%. When we first started, we did a lot of stuff that wasn't right. And we're speaking from, I guess, a point of angle of experience. Like you put it on
Super
the thing
experience.
where, you bought a car you couldn't afford when you first started. You were renting it out.
Actually, let me rephrase that, right? So the way I first started was I had a good job. I got injured, right? I had an $1,800 car payment. And so I had a broken back. I got in a really bad car accident. And then I couldn't afford it, right? Because I wasn't able to work.
Yeah.
So then I go around to see if I can rent the car because I was trying to think that maybe I could rent it maybe 3-4 days a week and not have to get rid of my car. But this is like when I'm 24 years old. I mean, I was so naive at the time.
Yeah. I mean,
like it worked out to where someone gave me an opportunity to rent my car. But the second I started to rent it, I realized that this is not my car anymore. I mean, it's getting trashed, right? It smells terrible. Okay. And it's like, I felt like I was using someone else's stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And so I ended up I left the GTR as a rental and then I bought myself a Gallardo, right? The GTR could pay for my Gallardo. That was my theory.
Yeah.
Then the Gallardo was like, this is cool. I'll rent the Gallardo. I'll buy myself a 458. Now I got a nice car, right? This is cool. I'll leave the 458. I'll buy myself a McLaren MP412C. Now I got the best one, Yeah. And then I wanted an Aventador. Basically, before I knew it, every 3-4 months, I was getting a new car for the fleet. And I thought I would love it to drive it myself. And that was going to be my car, right? Even down to the BMW i8 I did that with, And before like a year went by and I was driving a Fiat 500 electric.
Yeah.
Like a little dinky car. And that's what I wanted to take home every day. I mean, I did technically buy a Rolls-Royce Ghost. That was the longest one that was not in the fleet. Like I bought the Ghost and I was like, I used it to pick up our customers. Before, when royalty was super small, I could pick up every customer from a hotel. Yeah. Right, I'd schedule them out through the day. I was doing 5 rentals a day, pick them and drop them off. Everybody was one perfect experience, super boutique. It was great. So that car was actually the car I drove the most. And then I ended up getting a little bigger and renting that one as well, going to the Fiat 500, just having a simple, small, quiet car that wasn't flashy, And now, fast forward 8 years later, I've got a Koenigsegg, a Pagani, a Bugatti, all these wild hypercars.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you think? It was like about $12 million sitting right here outside the window?
Unfortunately, there is about $12 million. Yeah, that's how many chicken sandwiches I could have for that much money.
If you were to do this right now, if you had to sell all your cars, and let's say you're going to sell royalty, what would you do next? And I know you're doing the chicken thing. I think that's already going. But if you sold all your cars and everything else and you were liquid, what would you start next? What would be your next adventure, your next journey?
If I had to do something other than the restaurants, because the restaurants is my plan. I mean, essentially the way I looked at it 15 months ago when I started the chicken business is I wanted to do something else. Yeah. Right. I started before the pandemic officially started.
Wait, we were talking about this in 2018?
Yeah, 2019 probably. Yeah. Right around there.
Yeah.
I really wanted to be in the restaurant business because I saw the future and I saw my revenues dropping and I saw the increases going up for the cost. And I was thinking to myself, restaurants where I got to be because everybody needs to eat. Right. Yeah. So if I had to choose something else besides restaurants, I would probably take it would be a large amount of money that I would have, right? Yeah. I would probably go into like apartment complexes, some larger real estate type investment. I've been hanging out with Graham Stephan and Ryan Pineda more than I should probably. Yeah. And so like these guys have got me thinking my real estate mind. I would develop real estate projects. Like what I learned from Ryan a couple weeks ago was he bought a 0% occupied, almost abandoned apartment complex, rehabbed it for X amount of dollars, got it essentially 50 or 60% occupied, and then was able to sell it and make a net profit of over $4 or $5 million, right? Yeah. And I think his total investment in that was less than his net profit. So I think he put like $3 million in to buy it and rehab it and then made like 4 or 5. Right. Yeah. And so that's like the most attractive thing for me because I want to sell a product that has a lot of buyers. Yeah. And real estate is always going to have the most amount of buyers for any business. Yeah. And I think second is food, right? Because food is the most scalable business as far as a brick and mortar company. You can put a Houston's Hot Chicken in any state, any city, any country, and anywhere in the world, and someone's going to go eat there.
Well, they had Forbes put out a list of the 3 recession-proof businesses. There was fast food.
Okay.
There's alcohol, and then there's payday loan stores. So these three.
Oh, that's a good
loans,
one.
Yeah.
Payday loans, man.
That'll be our next.
I'm down. Payday loans.
Loan sharks. But my friend, fucking, we got a Rolls Royce Ghost. The guy didn't pay on it. Drove all the way from LA to here, borrowed $70K. And I think at the time it was worth like $180. Guy paid like 3 months. I think it was like $7,000 a month for 3 months. Wound up not paying. Kept the car. He sold it. I'm like, okay, where's my cut? Oh, bro, well, this is my business, my license. I was like, all right, fuck you, more people.
He mentioned this a couple of days ago, was payday loans, right? Payday loans are solid. When I was a cable guy, I was just driving down, what I was referencing right now was I was driving down Sahara. I had to go pick up a check at Mercedes. I sold them one of my vans and they had to pay me for it when they got the title. And I go to pick up this check and I remember this place called Cash Kingdom right across from Mercedes on Sahara.
Yeah.
And I did the cable install there when I was like 19. I'm 33 now. Okay. It's still there.
Going strong.
I don't know how many people are actively walking in and out of that place, but if anybody needs a loan, I will give you $1,000. And if you just pay me back $20 a week for the rest of your life.
Yes, that's
basically what it is.
Yeah. It's like, a lot of these repo companies I'll go to where I pick up the payday loans, the title loans. I mean, we're talking 200-300% on a vehicle, sometimes even higher when it's like a non-secured loan. Mm-hmm. And so now they have a title for collateral. They're still getting, this insane interest rate, and they're taking like a $3,000 car. And I've looked at some of the contracts. These poor people over the last 2 years have paid like $8,000, $6,000 for this $3,000 loan, and they still owe $3,000. Yeah. And they wind up getting the car back. So it blows my mind. But, I know it's kind of bad, but I mean, just the money you see in that.
At the end of the day, I had an employee, multiple employees that would go to 2, 3, 4, 5 payday loan companies, take $1,000 from each one.
Yeah.
Okay. In Nevada, you can get $1,000 sight unseen, basically with a driver's license. Okay. One of my employees went to like 8 of them, got like $8,000. Okay. Bought a bunch of dumb stuff, PlayStations and shoes and just shit at $20 a week. Right. He was paying $160 a week. And, he just paid $160 a week for a long time and never paid him off. So I went in, I helped him. I paid all of his balances off. I refinanced all that for him for one payment. And it took him a year to pay me back with a moderate, like very low interest, right? I think I charged him like 8-9% compared to 300%.
Yeah, 300%. Right? He'd be paying until he retired.
He would never end up paying it off. And then their collections or this, or that. These guys, they get stuck in some crazy stuff. But my point is essentially like the car rental business is cash intensive. It's not like you can go and leverage your credit, $50,000, you can get 3 Lambos, right? It's not like that, right? If it was like that, then I would recommend it because there'd be a low acquisition cost for these cars, but there's an extremely high acquisition cost, right? The transport industry, same thing, high acquisition cost, right? You need a truck, you need a trailer, you need insurance. Transporting cars, $500-$600 to and from California seems very lucrative. Oh, I could do 10 a week. Shit, I could make $10,000 a week or $8,000 a week. But once you factor in everything that goes involved into the labor and the employees and everything, maybe you could make $2,500 a week from the initial $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 you think you're going to make. Yeah. Same thing happens with car rentals and anything related to automotive stuff. Yeah. Right. So it's just a never ending story.
I'm surprised we talked about this for a long time. Like, with your brand and everything else, like the way you kind of turned royalty into like the Houston's Hot Chicken, grew YouTube brand, your personal brand. I'm still shocked that you don't own a car dealership. I mean,
I have a car dealer license.
Well, I know,
but it's just you kind of have to choose one side or the other, right? You got to choose to be a car rental company or choose to be a car dealer, and
I think
I'm changing my opinion on that. When the economy gets bad, it's easy for me to sell cars, right? Because then I have the best cars in the market, right? But you know how attractive it is to buy and sell wholesale. Just get paid in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Just so easy.
Preaching to the choir. That's all I do. No stress, easy. No overhead, no crazy bills. But like, I can see you with your brand, like crushing every exotic Highline dealer that's here in Vegas, also in LA, and maybe even Scottsdale, because, a lot of these guys, like they watch our channels, and I mean, just the reach you have, I think alone is like a dealer spending $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month on Google.
Oh, easy.
You would crush everybody.
Look, I thought about I've been offered reality TV shows for 3-4 years now. And every once in a while I go a little bit more and I'm like, maybe it's time for me to do this, Yeah. And I was actually offered to be on the show with R.D. Whittington $1 million wheels or something.
Oh,
like
$1 million,
that.
yeah.
And I was offered to be on that show to be RD's adversary. And me and RD are not cool because he screwed me on my Bugatti situation. But that's a different story. And I was offered to be his adversary. And that was like the closest I'd ever come to like wanting to be on the show. Because I was like, oh, I'll do this for free, man. But then they wrote it in there that I would have to not do YouTube. And I was like, oh no. I can't really do that right now. So I passed on it. But I was pretty stoked about that situation. And I was thinking to myself, like, guys like that, they go up there and they make this whole fake story about how they consign this LaFerrari and then they sell it to this celebrity and do this. And it's all fake. It's just like selling Sunset. I mean, these houses, some of these houses aren't even for sale.
Yeah.
They just go there, they tour them, they bring a fake buyer, they set it up, and then boom, it's $40 million. Oh, you can afford it? Write this check.
Yeah.
I'm an investment banker from England.
Exactly.
Here's a $40 million check. Thanks for my house.
Oh, within 1 week, we closed this deal. Yeah, exactly. Made
the
$30 million.
potential commission is $600,000.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I think that's why the car business reality shows never work, because if they actually meet car guys, one, we cuss like a sailor. So, I mean, there's no way we can be on TV. Yeah. So it's like we're off the mic, like we're just going at it, but like dealing with regular people, we can't. And the fact of we do some hard decisions, like when you have to tell people, hey, look, I don't feel comfortable running you. I did it all the time. Like, hey, sir, your credit is garbage. You've never paid a bill ever in your life. I can't give you a car. I'm an asshole. I'm a jerk. I'm whatever else, but that's something you can't really put on camera. But I think the fact
maybe now you can.
I was about to say,
maybe
probably now, yeah, with
it's
YouTube and stuff.
A little different now. You can,
because I'm thinking about opening up a dealership as well, because I see the economy turning. I know how over leveraged a lot of these dealers are. And every time like I talk to some of these guys, like I admit I know a lot, but I don't know it all. So I'm always like learning from everybody. None of these guys want to learn.
No, like they all think they know everything.
Yeah. I don't know if it's dealer syndrome or what, but it's like, we'll get into a room and they always want to know how much money you're making. What are you selling? And then I'm like, oh, this is what I did. And this is what I did. What about you? Oh, they never want to share any information.
Nothing.
And the worst thing is, like, and in our realm, there's only so many exotic cars in Vegas, and we know who owns most of them. So when I see, oh, I bought this for this, I'm like, no, you didn't. That's consigned, bro. You don't own that car. You couldn't even afford that car. It's like they're just giving it to you on consignment to sell it.
Exactly.
And so it's like, that's the thing I think that you could break through in this particular market, because
I don't know if you know this, Lucky, but my first ever little business venture, I wrote a book called How to Avoid the Repo Man. I was 18 and I worked at a repo company here in town. It was one of my first jobs. And I wrote a book about how to understand the repo process, because not a lot of people understood it. And I was thinking about going and getting that and basically republishing that book. It's short. I think it's like 40 or 50 pages. And I sold it in like 2010 or 11, right around that time, like $5. And I was watching your video the other day and I was like, you know what? I should go out and re-put this information out. Maybe I would do some good again, But then at the same time, I was like, why? Why help the stupid? If they wanted to go out and buy these ridiculous cars, BMW 5 Series, Jack in the Box manager guy, like, why help them?
Yeah.
Let them all learn a lesson, and then I'll go to the auction with you and we'll buy 20 BMW 5 Series for 50% on the dollar, and then we'll sell them to people who can then in turn afford them.
Yeah.
Right. Because those guys that were not able to spend 20 over sticker because the guy that working at Jack in the Box said, oh, I can afford $864 a month. Yeah, no problem. I'll take that car.
Yeah. It's like, I remember in my dealership, and I did a few videos on my channel where I talked about how I used to tell people, hey, you can't afford this car. You can't afford the maintenance. You can't afford the insurance. I wouldn't do it. Depreciation, blah, blah, blah. I would give them reasons not to buy a car. And everyone thinks dealers are jerks and we're mean people. And a lot of that's not the case. Like, we tell people, you can't buy this car. You won't be able to buy a house because your DTI is screwed up.
Of course.
You have kids. You want to buy maybe a nice car for your wife. Well, that's screwed because you just buried yourself in this new BMW. And it's just like, no matter what we do, like you said, you can literally lead them to a path of financial freedom and they will just stare you in the face, be like, I want the BMW.
Yeah. And what's really funny is that those guys that did that and they went all over sticker, anybody that can actually afford that payment, that wants to pay for that payment after it's worth less, cool, be my guest. What I want to see is all the dealers that were taxing 50 to mostly just like Mercedes, BMW, Audi, those guys. Sure, all the other dealers too. Like Kia, I heard was crazy.
Yes, 60 grand on a Palisade.
Yeah, I heard that was wicked, right? And so those are their customers, right?
Yeah.
They can not now trade out of those cars to get new ones.
Yeah, they're buried.
They're buried beyond belief. And so whose responsibility is it going to be? right? I think now listen, all these metrics, there's no way they're accurate because I know what the cars are selling for, but I think it only said like 26% of cars are underwater, or paid for over sticker.
No, that's way. Yeah, it's
got to be 70, 80% of car
exactly.
sales. I bet you it was probably 90% of cars sold between June 2020 to current that were all sold over sticker. Right. And if you go to trade those cars back in, they're going to be worth under sticker, of course. Right. Plus, don't forget tax. You lose 10% right off the top.
Yeah.
Right. Any of the dealer fees and any of the insurances that you bought or any of the gap or this or that. Right. All those guys, they can't buy cars again. No, they're stuck.
They're buried for the next 2-3 years.
So who even 2-3 years? They're buried for 4.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, usually you get buried in your car for about 3 years before you can get your way out of it and break even. Now you added 30% overprice. It's going to take you an additional year and a half to get out of that. Because don't forget, they're not on 5-year loans. They're on 7-year loans.
Yeah, I've seen some. Yeah, they were like 84 months.
All of them. Yeah, they're all on 7-year loans.
It blows my mind. And the worst thing is we didn't see that not only with the new cars over MSRP, we were seeing the subprime market, like regular cars, going for 170% of LTV. So these banks were like, okay, well, inflation, everything else, cars are going up. Go ahead and lend up to 170. So now on a $15,000 car, these guys are getting like 23
grand, 24 grand.
Yeah, and then it's like, and now they're financing this car, and as soon as the market dips,
it's worth $8 grand, and they owe 24 on it.
Yeah,
and
it blows my mind. So it's like it's just a recipe for disaster. So I'm very interested to see what's going to happen in the next 6 to 8 months because I think how people walked away from houses in 08, I think people are going to start walking away from cars.
Well, that's exactly what's going to happen. That's the key. The housing market is not going to crash like it did in 08. It's not possible.
Yeah.
All the homes have been paid in cash. It's too hard to get a home loan these days. Nobody has 5-6 houses like they did.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that got 4 or 5 cars.
Yeah.
Shit, I got 38 cars myself. I mean, luckily, all but 2 are paid for. I'm okay in all those cars. And I bought them right? But Bring a Trailer's been my best friend recently. Moving in and out of those. I have a lot of collectible cars that are not the standard cars that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like I just sold my 1996 456 GT, which is a V12 gated manual Ferrari, green on tan. I mean, I purchased that car in the low 50s, right? About a year ago, and I sold it for 72,000. So that was a modest increase. And I think if I would have sold it about 6-7 months earlier, probably got 100.
Yeah.
Right. That would have been great, but I didn't want to sell it then. Now starting to sell through some of my stuff, my Acura NSXs, my Land Rover Defenders, those types of cars, I believe are not really affected by this dramatic drop because they're so rare. They don't have an MMR, number one.
Yeah.
Right. They don't have a lot of transactions. And so if you guys still want to be in the car business after all the things that I said no, and Lucky said no.
Yeah.
If you're going to buy cars, buy very low production manual transmission cars or V12, V10, very rare engine model cars, because when everything is electric and everything is hybrid in the next couple of years, the most value you're going to have is in the stuff that people have emotion to, right? So anything that's gated and anything that sounds like a V12, that's my only advice, right? And stick to those.
Yeah. I mean, I pretty much similar the same thing. If you can afford those cars, go for it. If you're a new dealer or you're a rental car company, you're trying to start out, go the budget way. Get regular economy cars.
No, I'm talking about buying them and holding them.
Yeah. No, those cars, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You can't buy those and sell them immediately. You buy them and hold them, and that's an investment in the car world. Yeah. Make your money somewhere else. You're not going to make money in the car business right now. If you're trying to become an automotive dealer, you better be a very popular person, and you better have a long list of people that you can sell to organically, because paying to get your customers is impossible these days.
Yeah, and
it's so expensive. Very, very deep pockets. And there's not a huge reward at the end of the tunnel. That's why take my best advice and stay away. I don't care how big your dealer is, unless you have a new franchise store, right, with the huge deep pockets of financing, all the extra warranties and all the extra stuff, you're not going to make money. Right? Like the Kia store will make money because there's a demand and there's manufacturer rebates.
Yeah, we get bonuses after we sell so many. But used, same thing. Everyone thought that I was balling out of control. I had a $2 million flooring line. You see 100 cars on my lot, each car cost me $500 to $1,000 a month with my interest and everything. So at the end of the day, like people ask, like, man, you must be rich. Dude, I was walking away with like 100, 150K after paying my employees made more than I did.
Yeah. Easy.
Everybody made more than I did. And so, but Vegas, we had a really bad market and everything else, but I know it's getting hot in here. I want to finish off with one thing. We were talking about how car payments and everything are crazy. And I don't know if you're okay with discussing this. Could you tell us what a car payment is on some of your hypercars? Because I think people have no idea like what it would take for someone to get financed. Like even you with the background and credit and money, what did you have to put down? What did like the monthly payments are and some of the like criteria you had to have to get something like this?
So you can't go out and finance a hypercar. Okay. So in order to buy a Koenigsegg, a Pagani, a Bugatti, you have to pay cash for it. But I have a very good relationship with a private bank that I was able to take 50% of the value on that car back because I wanted to open more chicken restaurants, right? And so, yes, I have money, but I also want
you gotta have your capital work for you.
I'm holding more cash now than I ever have before. Dude, I used to have like 200 grand in my bank account. Like, and I mean, I'm sorry that sounds pretentious because I'm not trying to be that way. But when you're operating a business that has a $430,000 overhead every month, having a couple $100,000 is very, very little cash, right? And now I have upwards of 10 multiples of that, right? More, I mean, way more, because I see the economy's changing and I want to have that opportunity to be able to buy and those good deals and get them real quick and have the cash ready. So I took a loan on the Pagani and the Koenigsegg. My Bugatti, I did not because, I don't know, that car doesn't have the value the other ones do, right? The value on the Koenigsegg is close to 5 million, right? It's a mid fours. Yeah. And the value on the Pagani is about 2.6, 2.7. So I took 50% on both of those cars through a private bank. I pay 35,000 for the Koenigsegg and about 20,000 for the Pagani. But those aren't standard car payments, right? So I don't want to confuse anybody with those.
Well, no, that's why I want to give people an instinct because everyone's always like, well, I want to have these cars in my driveway. And it's like, I don't think they realize how expensive
and
how
my insurance is $12,000 a month.
Yeah. And
$12,000 a month.
And then on top of that, these cars are sitting here. You don't rent them, correct?
Never, ever would it be a rental, let alone people could, I don't even let anybody sit in them.
Yeah. So it's like, they're not rentals.
That's the thing. That's why I don't even want this business because like, I don't want people to assume that all my hard work from all the other things that I do outside of royalty is because I rent my cars. Like that's why I want to keep them in my house. But then I feel bad because people fly from all over the world to come see these cars.
Yeah, that's the only time they're ever going to see it. Yeah.
I'll leave them in the showroom just because I want to be nice and I want people to take pictures with them. And I do that kind of like as like a memento for people that are traveling here. But I didn't finance those cars because I didn't have the money. That's the difference, right? Like when I go to buy a car, if you can't write a check for it, you probably shouldn't own it, right? You should make that money work for you better. There's a lot of people that will tell you, look, take the 300 grand, buy a rental house. It'll give you the rental amount of money, right, per month to go finance the Lambo.
Appreciation,
right? Like the house will make more money and you can just lease the Lambo.
Yeah, I could totally tell you've been hanging out with Ryan and Graham.
Yeah, well, exactly, But I mean, I share so much common interest with them. And that's, honestly, I started holding more cash talking to Graham. Graham really opened my eyes to maybe saying, look, you're a little too heavy in these things, and I was like, man, maybe you're right. Like, and it really feels good to have the ability to just write a check for everything on the spot and not have to sell something to pay for something. Yeah. I used to have a lot more than 38 cars and big cars, like really big cars.
Oh, I know. You had that warehouse right behind us that was full of cars. Like you only see this like small sliver here, but you got a whole warehouse not even open to the public over there.
And so now that I've taken my money back on those, and look, those cars in my mind are tokens of my success, and I want to look at them every day, and I really, really, really like them. They're amazing to be around, but I didn't make that money from royalty. Royalty doesn't make money to pay for that kind of stuff. I mean, if I got a company BMW 7 Series, I'd be lucky, So, it's the chicken business and it's the dramatic amount of restaurants that you can have. Every restaurant that I have makes a little over $50,000 to $60,000 a month net. Some of them are making 90, right, with alcohol. So when you think about that, if I have 10 restaurants, I mean, that's bringing in net profits $500,000-$600,000 a month. Yeah. So for me to pay 50 grand a month for my cars isn't that big of a deal because that money that I use to loan against them is making me that much money. Right. So one store for $500,000-$600,000 can net $50,000 a month to my pocket. Right. So if I just do 10 stores, it's $500,000. Right. That's one Koenigsegg. Yeah. So I do want those cars, but at the end of the day, I want the assets of the business more. Yeah. Because that business will turn into 100x, 200x, or 250x of its value over a 3-4 year period if I scale it big enough. Right. And then I'll get that big 9-figure paycheck and then we'll have a different type of podcast actually.
Yeah, exactly. By that time, it'll be completely different.
It'll be a different podcast. We'll have gold mics, you know?
I appreciate you taking the time. I know we literally did this. Like I walked in to say hi, I picked up a vehicle from you, and then we're like, you got 20 minutes? You want to do a podcast or do a quick thing? And here we are. But if you have any questions, leave in the comment section below. I'll try to answer most of them as I can. If you have anything for Houston, leave it on his channel. Make sure you subscribe to him. Also me, mine's Lucky Lopez. Is yours under your name now?
Yeah, Houston Crosta.
Yeah, so make sure you subscribe to both of us. Also Instagram. And anything you want to close it out with?
Honestly, guys, thanks for watching. This is the hottest podcast I've ever done. It's about 160 degrees right now.
It's pretty warm.
So I appreciate it. If you could like this video to maybe be our most liked video so I could walk outside and get some fresh air, that'd be great.
Exactly. We got to go get some hot chicken and some beer at your new place.
I'm going to go get some water.
Okay.